Mules, brother.
Welcome to the Run Pod Option. I'm Marty. I'm going to go ahead and say hi for Jeff and Kyle. So we recorded this on Monday night, and for whatever reason, Kyle's microphone decided not to work for the first 28 minutes. So instead of playing you guys the first 28 minutes of me and Jeff and Kyle talking back and forth, but you only hearing 2/3 of that conversation, we actually did get on record our picks. That's going to be at the end of the show. We have an interview featuring Will Rainier from the stands that I did. That'll also be in the show. And then just kind of throwing it straight into it, we had a pretty fun game that we played, and we'll lead the show off with that. So apologies for not having really any analysis on this past week's games. Good news, the week kind of sucked, like low-key, don't you think? Like Ohio State destroyed a team. Mac Brown almost won something, which is cool. Devon Modster didn't do anything. Syracuse, they suplexed a guy. That was neat. SMU's undefeated. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. At RunPodOption on Twitter, runpodoption@gmail.com. And rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends. Kyle had a funny line about tell your enemies. Whoever you want to tell, we really do appreciate it. And please be patient as the technical difficulties has taken half our show away from us and from you guys. I hope you all enjoy the show. Thank you. A little while ago, Mike Leach was asked who would win in a fight to the death between all the Pac-12 mascots. Our friends over at From the Stands did the similar situation. They actually did the Pac-12 again. But I thought we'd do something a little bit different, and we would play this game, but with a different conference. And I chose the Big Sky Conference.
Because
Gentlemen,
when you're talking about college football, we need to go FCS right now.
FCS immediately, but also FCS for mascot. For the mascot variability, there's a lot there. And
I've got
would you
some
like
questions?
Okay, let's introduce our contestants first, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
This is in the order of actually their current standings, which is a surprise to me. Honestly, I had no idea. So we've got the Montana Grizzlies, the Montana State Bobcats, the Cal Poly Mustangs, Idaho State Bengals, the Eastern Washington Eagles, the Northern Colorado Bears, the Sacramento State Hornets, the Weber State Wildcats, the Idaho Vandals, we miss you, FBS, every day, Northern Arizona Lumberjacks, the Portland State Vikings, the Cal Davis Aggies, and the Southern Utah Thunderbirds.
Wow. Okay. My first
Can we
question,
start by eliminating
Yes, we
the
can
bottom
eliminate
quarter? Okay, so here's my prop. You know what? Actually, you pick one. Pick one to drop.
The
Kyle.
Vandals.
What?
Yes. What are they going to do? They're just gonna like graffiti shit.
Listen, Kyle, I'm an idiot, but if you don't understand, the Vandals are in reference to the actual like group of people in Europe.
Okay, but I'm not taking it like that. I am taking it as in somebody that goes around and vandalizes shit.
You're telling me that a guy with a spray paint can loses a fight with a hornet because there's no chance.
I didn't say that I wasn't going to get rid of the Hornets. I just said I was going to get rid of the Vandals.
So you know what? Since we're going to do it this way, the Vandals are eliminated unless, Jeff, you can talk them out of it.
I got nothing.
Okay.
I
Jeff,
mean, historically,
Jeff,
okay, Vandals, that makes sense, but I'm taking it here and now.
God, I'm so glad I didn't put them in this, my favorite to win. Jeff, do you want to eliminate somebody now? We're going to do it this way until we get to the end.
I'm not really sure what an Aggie is. Is that like a cowboy?
Somebody that likes farming.
Yep.
Yeah, Cal Davis is out.
Good call. I'm going to go ahead and eliminate the Thunderbirds because it's either a shitty car or a fake bird. So,
it is definitely a shitty car.
It is definitely it's either or. Definitely both.
It's an 80s car, which isn't running anymore. It's just sitting on blocks in somebody's front yard.
Front hood is rusted.
Mm-hmm. Somebody's out there trying to work on it, listening to Motley Crue. It's terrible.
It's the Rusty Hood of the Big Sky Conference.
Some lady that's like 55 is rolling around on the hood. Actually, if it was still there, it's not
drinking
great.
and having to get a ride home at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday because she got done cutting hair by 12.
Drinking her Natty Light.
All right, Kyle, you pick one to. We've got the Grizzlies, Bobcats, Mustangs, Bengals, Eagles, Bears, Hornets, Wildcats, Lumberjacks, and Vikings left. Go ahead and make an elimination.
I'm gonna get rid of the Hornets because they're just small and annoying.
Yep, agreed. Jeff, let's remove someone. Starting to get down to the nitty gritty, honestly.
Have we gotten rid of the Eagles yet?
No.
They're gone.
They could just fly above you though, and
Yeah, but they're probably
claw
like,
your
"Fuck this
eyes out.
shit. Get me out of here."
they got talons.
Yeah, but when have you ever seen them take down any of these other animals and or people?
You haven't.
So I think I'm going to eliminate the Bobcats.
Ooh.
It's fair.
I don't think they can hang. It's a size discrepancy. I think the closest one to them may be the Wildcats or the Mustangs, and I think a horse gets lucky and just kicks the brains out of one of them. Honestly, this is the most graphic our podcast. After
Brain.
Jeff mentions penetration, we're going to talk about kicking a Bobcat's brains across the yard. Kyle, your turn.
I'm going to eliminate the Mustangs at this point because we're getting into some beefy things in here, and I just don't think the Mustang is going to be able to outlast anything else.
I agree. So we've still got, before Jeff makes his decision here, we've got the Grizzlies, the Bears, the Bengals, the Wildcats, the Lumberjacks, and the Vikings. And we're going to assume that the Vikings have a sword and that the Lumberjacks obviously have an axe.
And are all that is man.
Yep. Yeah, Paul Bunyan-esque.
If that's the case and the Vikings have swords, the Vikings are out.
What? Hold on. So a Viking with the sword versus a Wildcat, you're taking the Wildcat.
All right. Yeah, you're right. Wildcat dies at the hand of the sword.
Okay. I've got an unfortunate decision to make here. I'm just going to... A long enough sword can take down a bear if you get lucky. And I think the same goes for a Bengal. I'm not sure an axe does that. And as much as it hurts me, as a very, very passive fan of the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks, I'm going to eliminate the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks.
Oh.
Okay.
That hurts. I didn't think it was going to hurt until just now. So, Kyle, you've got our final four. We've got basically a Viking and then the Jungle Book. Grizzlies, Bengals, and Bears.
Didn't
Baloo fight a Bengal? My wife is nodding yes.
Okay.
Who won, Sarah? Sarah, my wife?
My wife.
But did Baloo murder the tiger? Okay. Yeah, far be it from someone to die in a kid's movie.
Hey, I know that you're trying to take like source information from that documentary known as Jungle Book. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna eliminate the Bengal.
Wow.
I'm gonna do that because I'm kind of looking forward to some bear on bear violence over here.
Okay. So, Jeff, you're going to be the decision maker whether or not the Viking gets lucky and kills one of these bears. Let's paint a picture. We're in an octagon. There's two bears. There's a guy with a lot of armor and a sword.
They didn't have much armor, man.
A lot of horns on their helmet and a sword.
2 horns.
2 horns. That's more than one, which is a lot. And maybe the bears are fighting one another, and the Viking slips one in.
No, I think the Bears team up and say we're gonna do this. We're gonna go tag team until it comes down to both of us. So we can figure out who's the best bear?
Are you saying one of the bears do the Hulk Hogan "you" to the other bear, and then the other bear starts doing the Macho Man finger circle, and they just point at the Viking and tell him that his days are numbered? Is that how this is going?
Yes, and there's a leg drop. There's a big boot and a leg drop. There's a flying elbow. They're picking up one of the girl bears on their shoulders, and then Hogan bear touches the girl bear in an awkward spot, and then the
okay, Jeff, who do you choose?
The Bears.
So Vikings out.
Yeah, the Viking dies a gruesome death.
Okay, well, I didn't mean for this to work this way. So let's talk Montana Grizzlies or Northern Colorado Bears. I'm going to say that, and let's discuss this as a group here, guys. Northern Colorado Bears, definitely, it's high, right? Like, definitely smoking.
Oh, yeah. It's legal, so
or it's got a nice contact high.
Ooh, good contact high. So do you think that maybe that eases the stress and allows him to fight clear, almost like that Jackie Chan movie where he was a better fighter when he was drunk?
I'm going to say that from the other documentary known as the video for Never Fight a Man with a Perm, if you smoke a cigarette, which I'm going to say is the equivalent of smoking a joint in this, it gives you special powers. So the Northern Colorado Bear wins.
Okay. I agree. Jeff, would you like to make a fight for Montana? The whole state.
You know, these Colorado Bears are lazy now. They've got edibles everywhere. I think you have to go with the Montana Grizzlies. Still, sharpened by the wild expanse of Montana.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to assume that's both of y'all's choices. I don't want to be the tiebreaker necessarily and that Northern Colorado wins. But frankly, I picked the conference, so we're going to go ahead and say
more compelling.
We're going to go ahead and say that, you know what? No, I think Jeff brought in the contact high, and that was enough for me to assume that Northern Colorado is like a straight edge dude who just has really cool friends. And in that he has really cool friends like I do with Jeff and with Kyle. Your Northern Colorado Bears have won the Big Sky Conference deathmatch. Round of applause for all our contestants. Round of applause for everybody, guys.
Yay.
Let's hear it.
They can all give themselves a pat on the back.
Absolutely.
Well, only one of them can because everybody else is dead.
That is true. And the Eagles would have a hard enough time as it was. So there's not
an eagle pat at the back.
No, you haven't. And I don't think there's a better intro than this one, as I sat down with Will from the stands and talked a little bit about their operation they got going on. We're going to go ahead and throw it to the interview, and then we'll be right back with the picks for Week 6. Sitting here with Will Rainier.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, Will. Thanks for coming on. Will is from the stands. And before we get into that, Will, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a diehard Oklahoma State fan living in Austin, Texas under duress. I'm down here for work. So last week was particularly rough. I took the family over to DKR and sat in the middle of the Texas faithful and we were ready to leave early, which is weird because we never do that. And then Texas decides to muff a bunch of punts and we almost get an onside kick. And next thing you know, it's like 11 p.m. and we're sitting there and, in the middle of traffic in downtown Austin trying to get home. But yeah, love college football. Just really have enjoyed it for just years and years. And now just happy to have a bunch of guys together doing a show on it, just kind of, taking my particularly awful takes and sharing them with the world.
So how long have you been in Austin?
I moved to Austin about 6 months ago. So part of that wave of just insane amounts of people moving to Austin every day, I kind of jumped on that a little late, I feel like. But I've lived all over. I've lived in North Carolina, where you guys are, Colorado, Oklahoma, New York State, and now here in Austin.
Well traveled, then. That's not bad at all. Interestingly enough, the co-hosts, Kyle and I, we've known each other for a long time. One of our best buddies back 13 years ago, born and raised from Stillwater. We met him in Virginia. He now lives in Austin. It's just like a weird small world. It seems like a through point.
Oh yeah, no, it's great.
Excellent. So let's get down to business. So from the stands, tell us a little about it, kind of as a concept, and then if you want to just go right into it, kind of what you guys are building towards the future.
Yeah, so From the Stands is a weekly video podcast on YouTube. Was kind of born in the college football subreddit, just as an idea. Somebody floated out, "Hey, what if we made our own college game day show?" And there was a group of us that all kind of have banded together and really worked hard through the summer and got ready. And we've done 5 episodes every week, or 1 episode a week for the last 5 weeks. And I really think we're onto something. That's my dog. You heard he joins us from time to time because he's a jerk. And so just working through the challenges of how do we build something that 100 other people are doing and make it interesting and exciting, and still have fun with it and put out a quality product, which is really what we're building toward.
And you mentioned your affiliation with Oklahoma State. So I've seen a few episodes of From the Stands, and I'm extremely impressed. One, with the absolute quality of the videos, of the production, the graphics. Like, it is an incredibly clean show. It looks sharp.
Yeah, I have to give all the credit on that to our producers. Caleb has done an incredible job just getting that together, making it look, giving it the look. And that was kind of one of the big things we said early on. We want to make sure that the quality is there, because I feel like if you at least hit a baseline with quality, then the content, it gives you a lot of leeway, whether or not you're picking games right or wrong, or you're saying things that somebody's going to go, that's absolutely incorrect. So it kind of balances each other out and gives people another reason to watch.
I think that's really important too, because with how you lean into bias, and obviously anybody can listen to, for instance, Run Pod Option and end up hearing Kyle talk too long about Syracuse, or me try not to jinx the SMU run, or Jeff be bummed out about Michigan. Seeing people's face adds a lot to not only kind of the trash talk and the conversation of it, but you can see when a Michigan guy comes on, and if he thinks if he's extremely confident against Wisconsin, and you see it all over his face that he absolutely is not, that he's got tequila up to his eyeballs to make sure he can say it without crying. It's just, I think the visual medium part of it is what makes y'all show specifically great.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we kind of decided early on that was just this idea that, I guess I'll just point to the top of the mountain. You look at a guy like Kirk Herbstreit and played quarterback at Ohio State. And sometimes I just want him to say, look, I want to back my team, and I want to say that they're going to win because I believe in Ohio State, go Buckeyes. But, when you get to a certain level, you kind of eliminate your bias, and you kind of put on this face that like, oh no, I'm a college football professional, and I know all of the things about all the teams. And really there's I think that's kind of something that typical fans have a hard time resonating with. Like you said, we do own our bias on the show. I picked Oklahoma State to, finish second in the Big 12. And obviously, some people say, oh, well, you're just being a homer. But I think that, when you have somebody who has a personal connection to a school, and they say something like, "Hey, you guys might want to watch out for Chuba Hubbard and Tylen Wallace and Spencer Sanders this year," it gives a little bit more credibility to it, because this isn't somebody that I would expect Kyle, for being a Syracuse fan. I wouldn't really expect him to know, oh, these three guys are actually going to be playmakers. And it might be week 6 or 7 before he finally goes, oh, wow, like, yeah, these guys were pretty good. Whereas, I'm able to kind of give a local perspective. And then the flip side is true. Whenever I talk trash about Texas or Oklahoma, you can kind of take it with a grain of salt and be like, oh, okay, well, that's just an Oklahoma State fan. And so it just adds a little bit. On one end, it adds a little layer of a comedic element where I can talk crap about OU. But I think it also adds a layer of legitimacy, where if you're talking about game day traditions or where to eat on game day, and we've got an Alabama fan talking about Tuscaloosa, I'm going to believe him more. And that's an idea that was kind of built out of the subreddit, where you put your flair next to your name. Everybody kind of knows the perspective that you're coming from, and so that's something we really thought was missing in college football media, and so something that we kind of really leaned and pressed into.
Yeah, I think it's the correct move, and I think with you guys moving forward, it's going to kind of show its head that way, because like you mentioned with the analysis stuff, for someone that's extremely invested in Oklahoma State, for instance, you, as the fan of that team, want to and need to know what to expect from game to game. So you're going to say, cool, Charlie Brewer, when we're playing Baylor, he's a guy we need to watch out for, or a defensive end from Iowa State that nobody might really know of, but that you've seen cause havoc on spread offense teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a really cool feature of it. And with the length of your shows, which run about an hour or a little over, there's a lot of time to fill in there, especially when y'all are breaking down a game and you have the supporters of those teams helping break down the game.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And one of the kind of the running jokes that we've really gone into is just this. Nobody on the team is a Pac-12 fan, which is really funny because we kind of they become the butt of a lot of our jokes. So, for example, every week we do what's called the Pac-12 seconds, and that is where one person gets 12 seconds to say whatever they need to about the Pac-12, and then we're moving on. And so last week, for example, I sat out from the show, and they're like, "Hey, Will's not here. We can talk about the Pac-12 all we want." And so they did. But I'm back on this week, and so I'll bring it back in order. And so it's little things like that. As a Big 12 guy, I really have no interest in kind of what's going on in the Pac-12. So it's kind of fun to be able to have that as a running gag.
Okay, so that actually works perfectly for any of our listeners that are fans of a particular Pac-12 team. Where can they reach out to you guys to either follow along or get involved with the show or just follow y'all on Twitter? What can they do? Where can they find you?
Yeah. So first and foremost, come and check out the show. And definitely we're on YouTube. We'll put it up every Friday. Right now, there are plans to kind of move to a live show format, but for right now, we're recording Thursdays and posting on Fridays. So YouTube's number one. That's where the big money is being made. And by big money, I mean absolutely zero money whatsoever. And then Twitter, we're pretty active on game days. And then throughout the week, you can drop us a tweet. It's at From the Stands US. And so all one word. Find us on Twitter. Tell us that we're idiots. We actually kind of enjoy that. And really, we are kind of college football for fans from fans. And so we absolutely welcome, participation. Just last week, one of the CFB ball artists wrote a digital short, or drew a digital short for us. And we've had guys come on and talk about different pieces that they've written, whether it's uniform trackers or hot seat trackers, things like that. And so we're absolutely very open to fan participation. And if you've got a good idea and you've got some quality content, we've got a space on the show for you.
Awesome, Will. Before we wrap up, do we have anything else that you wanted to mention or any questions for me and the RenPod option?
I think you guys are doing a great job. I dig the analysis. I think we went back and forth on Twitter this past week about the Pac-12 in particular. You guys give a lot of love to the Pac-12 for an East Coast podcast. So there's no East Coast bias on your guys' show. So kudos to that.
I think part of the reason is because it encapsulates parity in the Power Five more than any other conference right now. So
yeah, somebody said that to me this last week, and I guess that my only thing there is I can watch a good game in the MAC. That doesn't mean that those are good teams. And I love a good football game as much as the next guy, but until the Pac-12 really until their elite programs are come back to being elite and they can be a college football playoff contender, it's really hard for me to kind of take them seriously because you can, you see these teams cannibalize it. I think Cal just lost, so they don't even have a good program right now. And it's a very legitimate conversation if you have a 12-1 Georgia who loses the SEC championship game, and you've got a 12-1 Oregon. Even Oregon, who is a conference champion, and they're both looking at that number 4 slot. I think it's harder. I think it's going to be really hard for Pac-12 to overcome that. And I really can't speak much as a Big 12 guy because we only have 10 teams, and the conference championship game is always going to be a rematch. So there's always going to be the possibility that we play ourselves out of a playoff spot. And it happened in 2014 with Baylor and TCU. So I'm right there. I'm sympathetic to kind of being seen as a lesser conference and having a 1-loss or a 2-loss team really, really struggle to making a playoff spot. So I am sympathetic to it. But at the same time, I've said from the beginning, if you want to come on the show and talk Pac-12, come on. And we haven't had any takers yet. So it's hard for me to dedicate a lot of our time whenever you've got such good games every week in the other conferences.
I guess they're like the teams in the Pac-12. They're on one week, they're off another. They're just really not sure. They can't really decide what they're going to be. But I will say that the MAC doesn't have Herm Edwards and Chip Kelly, and that's whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. For me, that's must watch. Apparently.
Yeah, no, and like I said, the games are good. The games have been very good. You're not gonna, what the Washington State UCLA game 2 weeks ago. That's Big 12 football right there. Like that's exactly what we like to see. And maybe it is a little bit of if the games didn't end at 2 a.m, we'd watch more of them.
It hurts. It's not fun. It really is. I'm hoping for the 10 a.m. kickoffs. Local time, because
I will say the Mountain Time Zone, my time in Colorado, being in the Mountain Time Zone, that is the superior college football time zone. You wake up on Saturday morning and game day is already on, and then the games start at 10, and so you can catch a little bit of the noon game before you head out for the day, and then you come back and you can watch the entire night game and go to bed by like 9 or 10 o'clock at the latest, and if you want to stay up till midnight and catch that Pac-12 game, it's really not a big deal. So I do miss being in the Mountain Time Zone. You guys on the East Coast, that's rough. That's rough.
Central. At least Central is good. Central, I miss a lot, especially for football.
Come on back to Texas,
brother. It is too hot, and I'm sitting here with no AC in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's a dream compared to what I imagine Dallas must be like, which is where I'm from.
Well, you guys are killing it over there on the Run Pod shows, and so we'll make sure to get you guys a plug. And if you guys ever want to come on the show, let us know.
Absolutely. Everybody keep an eye out for From the Stands. He dropped the Twitter. He dropped the YouTube. I'm also going to put that in the show description, so keep an eye out for that. And y'all have a good week.
Yep, thanks, Marty.
Thank you, Will. Say bye.
Bye.
All right, we're back with the Week 6 picks. We've got me, we've got Jeff, we've got Kyle. A quick summary of last week. Jeff and I went 6-6. Kyle went 3-9. That's a rough one. But I do want to start featuring more guest pickers. And as we don't have a guest on the show, I actually had someone that Kyle knows offered to be a guest picker for this episode because they believe that they're better than Kyle is at picking games,
Not hard.
Which the record apparently is. It won't be that difficult. So we're also going to feature picks from none other than Foltzy. We're not going to mention his first name because he didn't submit it to me. So we're going to go ahead and keep Foltzy, which is really easy to say. Thanks for that guy. And his picks. So let's start at the beginning. Let's go Central Florida at Cincinnati. Central Florida are 4-point favorites. Who do you got?
I can't pick because apparently I'm being guest picked for.
No. You're picking two, but you're going head to head now, essentially with Foltz. E.
Good. You know what? I'm gonna take Central Florida in that one.
Okay, Jeff.
I'm with Kyle, Central Florida.
Okay, we all agree, and so does Foltzy. We've got Oklahoma State at Texas Tech. Oklahoma State are 8.5-point favorites, and this is fresh off their win against Kansas State, handling them pretty easily.
Bowman's still hurt, right, for Texas Tech?
Yes.
Give me Oklahoma State.
I hate to line up with someone who's so far below 500, but I'm going to go
You
with
shut
Kyle
your
too.
mouth. You shut your mouth.
Well, that makes you and me, Jeff, and Foltzy, for whatever that's worth. So we're all
Very
in
little,
agreement
apparently.
with Kyle. We've got Cal at
We go down, we all go down together, okay?
Yeah, this is the Titanic of picks. We've got Cal at Oregon. Cal is going to be missing Chase Garbers, and they'll have Devon Modster. And Oregon are favored by 17.5 points. Me and Foltzy both have Oregon covering, despite Cal's great defense.
I'm gonna go off of even though Chevin is gonna be a big loss. I'm gonna say that Cal covers.
Okay. And
This
Jeff?
is terrible. Yeah. Cal, that's way too much.
Oh.
17.
Yeah, with the struggling Oregon offense, too. It's going to be interesting, but Herbert's he's going to see Trevor Lawrence play poorly and try to take advantage of that to get back in the Heisman race. And it probably won't work. Virginia Tech, speaking of not working, at Miami, Florida. Miami are 13-point favorites.
Ooh.
Oh, I don't like Miami that much, but I think they cover because Virginia Tech is an absolute shit show.
Foltzy also picks Miami.
I'll go with Virginia Tech.
I'm going with Virginia Tech as well. I think that they're in an absolute tailspin, but Bud Foster at some point has to think of, if nothing else, his own ass and not wanting to look like a complete bum.
He's gone at the end of the year, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. That's what I mean. I feel like he wants to go out better, but instead you have Duke, who loses, a first-round quarterback talent in Daniel Jones, and ends up putting that many points on Virginia Tech. It's embarrassing. I think he saves face, and they don't maybe beat Miami, but I think they play it closer than 13 points.
No, he might just say fuck it at this point.
Yeah, just leave early.
No, I think he'll just stay there and collect a paycheck and just be like, whatever.
He just goes, listen, it's if the offense doesn't show up in the first 15 minutes, we're legally allowed to leave.
They take the college professor rule.
Exactly. We've got a bigger line. We've got Georgia at Tennessee. Georgia are 22-point favorites on the road.
What has given me any hope in Tennessee this year? Georgia covers.
22 points. Wow.
It's a lot of points.
They just lost to Florida like 34-3.
And I'm not sure Florida's that good.
Yeah, with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I'll take Georgia.
Okay, we are all in agreement. Foltzy also got Georgia, and he had Miami, in case I didn't say that earlier. We've got Michigan State at Ohio State. Ohio State are 14-point favorites. Michigan State ranks 6th defensively, allowing only 3.9 yards per play. See if they can slow down Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins.
Is it this week that Michigan that Ohio State slows down a little bit? No, Ohio State wins, covers.
I'm also going to pick Ohio State to cover, but I don't think it's by much. I think they do get slowed down a little bit. And Fultzy also has Ohio State to cover. There's a lot of agreement going on here.
I'm going to go with, Ohio State. I don't like it, but...
Who do you hate more as a Michigan fan? Like, to your core.
I mean, Ohio State, because they've basically become, like, unstoppable.
I mean, does it hurt more to lose to Ohio State as a Michigan fan? Or when Michigan loses to Ohio State, does it hurt as much as Michigan losing to Michigan State?
Well, it's become so regular losing to Ohio State, it doesn't hurt as much anymore.
You're numb to it.
Yeah. But Michigan State, it's embarrassing because they act like a bunch of spoiled clowns.
Especially with those hideous jerseys they have this year with the lime green.
Oh, man.
I'm glad they lost wearing those.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Those are terrible.
They really are. We've got Auburn at Florida, and Auburn are only 3-point favorites. This is after Florida basically disintegrated Towson, and Auburn pretty much did the same to Mississippi State.
Give me Auburn.
Auburn to cover.
Auburn has shown that they can go on the road and win. They went on the road and beat Texas A&M.
Auburn at 3 against Florida.
I'm picking Florida, and I don't feel great about it, but at some point, Bo has to regress, even just a touch, I feel like.
Yeah. Oh, man. And Florida has their backup quarterback playing, right? Trask?
Yep, Trask.
Kyle, did you see him against Tennessee at all?
No, but they won. That's not a good barometer on anything.
I mean, he brought them back. He brought them back from being down at Kentucky, which should tell you about kind of the state of Florida, but also he was able to do to bring them back, and they ended up winning that game.
Didn't Kentucky get blanked this week, though?
Yeah, by South Carolina.
Ooh. Well,
The wheels are officially off in Kentucky.
give me Florida.
The wheels were only on for 1 year.
That's true. That is true. The whole damn car left in Benny Snell. Just up and gone.
And Josh
Allen. Yep.
Yep. Fultzy also picked Auburn. The next game we've got is Iowa at Michigan. Friend of the show, Doug, is actually going to this game. Michigan are favored by 7 points.
Give me Iowa.
I'm agreeing with Jeff right there. Give me Iowa.
Fultzy also has Iowa, so I am going to also pick Iowa.
This week is not moving day.
I wish they could tell me right now whether or not Gaddis was on the sidelines, because I think that's the difference. Actually, you know what? I'm switching. I'm going Michigan. Gaddis is on the sidelines, I bet. We've got Tulsa at Southern Methodist University. Your undefeated SMU Mustangs are 13-point favorites. I've got Tulsa covering.
I'm going the other way. A lot of excitement around that team right now. Tulsa, not that great. Give me SMU.
All right. Fultzy also took SMU.
Points.
Yeah, Tulsa has beat San Jose State and barely beat Wyoming. I'm going with SMU. We're 24.
They were leading Oklahoma State at halftime, I believe, 21-20. So there is that.
Okay.
Worth pointing out.
Going to go SMU.
Washington at Stanford. Washington are 14-point favorites. And Stanford just allowed 500 yards to Oregon State last week. So I'm going with Washington to cover, and I would maybe double that number.
Oof. I'm done picking Stanford to do anything. Give me Washington.
All right. Fultzy's also got Washington. And Jeff?
See, I'm surprised because Washington only beat USC by 2 touchdowns. Stanford is worse.
USC has. Oh, are you surprised by the line?
Yeah.
You just made your own argument.
Yeah. I'm just walking through it. Costello's still out, right?
Even if he was in, it doesn't give me any confidence.
No, I know. That's why I think...
Because they had 3 picks against... what the fuck is his name? Fink. And Fink is basically a younger Costello, just throwing up 50-50 balls. I think that...
Yeah.
I think
I'm
Stanford
going to go with
gets,
Washington.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they get hammered. Stanford, that is. And our 2 surprise games of the week. We've got Utah State at LSU. LSU are 25-point favorites. And I do want to mention that Jordan Love, the Utah State quarterback, is averaging over 300 yards passing a game. And LSU has shown that they can give up passing yardage.
That's a huge spread. Give me
25
Utah
is a
State.
lot.
Utah State to cover. Maybe not by much, but Utah State to cover.
It's
Give me
a day
the best
game
offense
that
in the
makes you help.
country. LSU. The beer will be flowing in Baton Rouge.
I think Utah State
It's a dry
covers.
campus, bro.
Not the stadium, bro.
I'm joking. I have no idea.
That whole
It's
city,
SEC.
there's not a dry thing in
Baton
like that
Rouge.
general area. Yeah. So I'm picking Utah State, but I think it's because LSU is going to come off a bye week here and sleepwalk with a bigger game coming up. And what is that game? I will look right now because I just kind of made that up as I'm going. Listen, guys, we're doing our best. And that game is, home against Florida. At a night game, home against Florida. So, yeah, I think they do the, as a solid verbal says, the let-down, look-ahead sandwich. And they end up losing to or not losing, but almost losing to Utah State.
What's Fultzy have to say about it?
Fultzy has LSU. So we've got our last surprise game. It is probably going to last all of 2 hours because we have 2 of the top 10 rushing teams statistically. We've got your Tulane Green Wave visiting Army. And Tulane are 2.5-point favorites.
What's the total points spread? Like
45. 45, and I think it's going to be. I think it might end up being. God, I want to say last year this game I thought was going to be fun too, and like Army blew the doors off of them. But I don't think Army is as good as they were last year, and Tulane is absolutely better than they were last year. So I think this is actually a really fun game. But I'm going to go ahead and take Army to cover.
Said it was 2.5 to Army.
2.5 to Tulane. So Army are 2.5-point underdogs at home.
Ooh. I'm going to
Fultzy
believe
has
in the
Army.
Green Wave and go Tulane.
Okay, Tulane it is.
Yeah, I'm going
And
with Tulane
Jeff?
as well. Tulane.
Okay, good deal. So interestingly enough, Fultzy thinks he's better at picking, but there is only 3 games out of 12 that he's picked differently than you, Kyle. So we will see how that pans out at the end of the week. Gentlemen, do you have any?
Beat me.
We'll see. We're all just.
I don't know
we're all
which
having
way is
fun,
up
right?
anymore. I don't know which way is up. I'm
I mean,
scared.
you defiantly said Utah State, so maybe you're right, and it's just all. Maybe you have the contact high.
Yes. I'm in Colorado now. I'm hanging out with that bear.
The best time zone to watch college football. I wanna live in the Mountain Time Zone, like legit.
Oh, that'd be great.
All right, guys. Everybody pray for Week 6 to be better than Week 5. We've moved on. We've had a good show, gentlemen. Do you have any final thoughts before we leave?
This is a big ACC bye week.
Isn't every week pretty much for most of those teams?
Well, no, that's Clemson. Clemson has an ACC bye week every week, but like actual bye week, it's Clemson's out this week, NC State's out, Syracuse is out. There's
If there was ever a time for the Pac-12 to get on afternoon TV, this would need to be the week, I feel like. And I don't think they've even done that. So much for that. Jeffrey, you got anything else?
I am continuing my Urban My Flight tracker. He has been seen in over Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, and he was recently seen in Knoxville, Tennessee. So we'll see what happens.
Did he pull a Dave Matthews and just make a stop in New Jersey to dump all his shit into a lake?
No, he did that in Ohio before.
And
so
Greg
he's staying away
Schiano
from
fell
New
out.
Jersey.
Is he at Zach Smith's house right now?
Oh God.
Everybody have a good week. Jeff and Kyle, y'all say bye.
Bye bye.
Farewell.